Thursday night, time for some spitballs. We went quite a ways into our Tuesday night video. It was almost half an hour long, I think. So let's maybe do 2 spitballs each tonight and see how we go.
Alrighty then.
All right, I'm gonna go first.
Do it.
Straight into it. And boom, that landed on. Oh, actually, it landed on failsafe. But it landed on the
remake.
Yes, the CBS or whatever network it was that was live to air. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah. It's with George Clooney, is it?
George Clooney. It had heaps of people. Richard Dreyfuss and
yeah. I mean, the original was the same thing. It was all had an all-star cast.
Well,
and everything.
The original was like still a one set piece, whereas this remake was all done in black and white and live to air, so there was no room for fucking up. And that is like the appeal of watching it, just to look for those little moments where, hang on, that line was not in the script, and you can tell by the reactions.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's a lot like watching. I watch SNL for the goofs because the goofs are always funnier than the bits.
Yeah, that's true. If everyone out there have never seen it, it's a film about or story about the brink of World War III.
The original is the original also World War III?
I think so.
I suppose it could be anything because basically the premise is that
miscommunication.
Yeah, and they're supposed to not launch a missile to blow Russia up.
So Russia sends up some rockets or whatever, and they intercept the communication, but they haven't got the ability to confirm with Russia if this is an official attack. And so they've got to decide: do we launch our own attack in response and essentially start a world war, or do we take the assumption that it's not an attack? It's a fascinating story. It's very tense. Obviously, I prefer the original, but I think it's fascinating watching that remake.
Yeah, look, I remember when that came out. It was a big deal. I was working at the video store at the time.
Yeah, same.
And now, I mean, I watched it on. That's how I saw it on video.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was one of those. Again, it's one of those ones. It was one of those because was it prior to the Ocean's 11 movie? It was.
I think so.
I think it had been a while since there'd been a good ensemble cast type.
But at the same time, because of the live aspect of it, it does initially feel kind of hokey.
Yeah, and it has that really kind of shot on video feel.
Yep.
To it.
Yes.
So it's almost like the whole thing's filmed on the security cameras at a 7-Eleven at 2:00 in the morning.
George Clooney busts out the biggest kebab. It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's my favorite part of the film.
Excellent. It's my favorite part of any meal.
When George Clooney busting out.
You want to throw that scrunchy piece of paper?
Woo! That hit. Oh, it's one of my all-time favorite films. Mona Lisa.
How many? One of my all-time favorite films have you landed on?
Oh, look, I land on nothing but. All my collection is made up of all-time favorite films.
Mona Lisa Smile. Bob Hoskins.
And
who directed that? Was it Stephen Frears? No. Who directed that one?
It's I think it is.
Good question.
I think it is someone like Stephen Frears. It's the same guy who did Gumshoe.
Yeah, and High Fidelity, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Well, if it's Stephen Frears, then yes.
We're on a Stephen Frears line of thought here.
And there's also the guy who did. Is it the guy who did Stormy Monday as well? Is that the same guy?
I don't know if he did that. I don't know, but this proves the spontaneity aspect of what we do.
I can't really remember exactly. It's been. I bought the Arrow Blu-ray a couple of years ago, and that was the last time I watched it. And prior to that, I'd only seen it on VHS.
I have not seen it since VHS. It's been a long time.
And it's a great film. It's a great film, because I mean, it was around the same time too as what was the other Bob Hoskins, Long Good Friday.
Oh yeah.
But he's playing completely different, like set in the same world, but in a completely different kind of
how good was Bob Hoskins?
Characters. Yeah, he's great. It's like in that one, he's the guy in charge. In this one, he's just a bit of a patsy kind of idiot. Hood, who gets out of prison and then hits up his old buddy Michael Caine, who is you kind of get the impression that he's responsible for why he was in prison. Like Bob Hoskins has taken the fall for something that Michael Caine has kind of done or has roped him into, and he didn't name names. He just did the time.
There was something about him where I don't know if it was his stature, like his size, but he was able to turn on the lovable, and then he was able to turn on like the fearsome. Like
it
was amazing.
He could play menacing really well, and in this one he kind of does both. He's a bit of a doofus, but he's also kind of got a heart of gold. But he's basically, so Michael Caine basically sets him up as a minder for a prostitute. Taking her around to all her appointments and stuff. But he ends up he becomes quite fond of her, and she becomes quite fond of him. And then things happen, and he basically,
that's right.
She disappears, and he goes looking for her, and
it's all coming back to me.
It's a really good film.
Yeah, I love him. All right, going for another one. I'm gonna avoid my camera. I don't want to. Oh, cool. This one landed on Hunted, the William Friedkin film, which is essentially. Hang on a second, my camera just stopped. So we are now in darkness. That's interesting. You're still
going.
You're still going.
So is Hunted the is Hunted the film with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro?
Yes, it is. Indeed.
Oh, and that's what they to be a real hunter, you have to make your own knife.
Yeah, it's essentially it's First Blood. He Tommy Lee Jones plays the same character essentially from The Fugitive.
Right.
Anyway, hold the conversation there, mate. I'm just gonna go and put another SD card in my fucking camera.
All right, you do that. I'll just keep talking about Mona Lisa. Pretty much said all that I need to say about Mona Lisa. I don't really remember Hunted that well. I remember watching it when it came out. I wasn't that impressed. I just was like, oh yeah, fair enough. And I haven't thought about it literally until Glenn just popped it with a wet wad of paper. We'll go back and talk about more road movies while we're waiting, because I wrote a big list, but I think we actually talked about. Well, I watched Fandango. Was one of the films that I watched in prep for the road trip movie episode with Kevin Costner and Judd Nelson, and it is truly excellent.
I'm back, and I love that you're still talking, and I can't get my camera to work. So this may be a Zoom presentation after all.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to have to just cut my. You're going to have to drop my video into the Zoom.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Nevertheless.
I was just sitting here talking about Fandango.
Oh, right. Off. Excellent. Good. You can keep going if you want.
Well, it's directed by Kevin Reynolds. It's one of the road trip movies that we were talking about the other day and on the podcast.
Yep.
And I watched it for the first time today, basically. Today. And it's like Kevin Costner and Judd Nelson and their two other friends they've just graduated college, and because they've graduated college, they're up for the draft. It's set during the Vietnam.
Yeah.
But they take this one last road trip. They're supposed to be one of their friends is getting married the next day in Dallas. They're all at university in Austin, Texas, and one of their friends is getting married in Dallas. So they decide to take him there, but instead, Kevin Costner, for various reasons, doesn't really want to complete the trip. Takes them on this weird detour to go dig up what you presume is an old friend of theirs.
Yeah, right.
To go meet up with this old friend of theirs who's on the border of Mexico, 400 miles away. And of course, things happen. But it's a phenomenal film. Like Kevin Costner's he was fairly young in this. Like I would say this is kind of pre-Silverado or
pre-Big
around
Chill.
that time. So yeah, pre-Dead Body and Big Chill.
I think you got to see his shoes in that film.
Yeah. And what a pair of shoes they were. But I didn't hit that with my spitball. But do you want to keep talking about Hunted?
Well, yeah. What's to say about Hunted other than that it's a very cliched kind of film that borrows a lot from a lot of other films. But I think it's really well made. I think it's nice and violent. It's shot nicely. It just feels like another Rambo film, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It was almost a comeback for William Friedkin, I think, because he'd kind of fallen out of favor with me anyway for the years that had preceded.
I didn't think much of it, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Fair
Like,
enough.
not that I thought it was bad. I saw it, and then
I think the
until you hit it, didn't think of it again.
The biggest problem with it is the fact that Tommy Lee Jones is just channeling that character from The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals.
Which, I mean, it's fine. I like that character.
I do too, but why not just make it Fugitive 3, for God's sake?
Yeah, why not?
And he kind of plays the same character. He played the same character in The Missing as well, pretty much.
Yeah, well, he played Tommy Lee Jones in all of the films that you're talking about.
Go ahead and throw another spitball. We've got time for one more.
All right. It's been a while since I've seen this. The Eiger Sanction.
Oh my
starring
God,
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. I recently bought that on DVD, but I haven't watched. I mean, I've seen it, but I haven't watched it since I bought it on DVD.
Right. It's one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like a Dirty Harry or a.
Yeah, it's sort of him stepping outside of the box.
Yeah, and funnily enough, it neither is it any of his two great road movies, and I think both of them would count as road movies. But Any Which Way You Can and Every Which Way But Loose with Clyde the monkey.
We can tie that in with your last conversation. He made a road movie with Kevin Costner called A Perfect World.
He did make a road movie with Kevin Costner. Yes, I remember that.
Oh no, what's happened? Looks like you're in a bit of strife.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to reach around to plug my my camera in.
What a technical episode this is. This is fantastic.
It's still going. It just hit low power mode.
This is great.
Arrest that.
Mate, we're in it for shits and giggles tonight.
Yeah, but Eiger Sanction Clint Eastwood is great. He's a government hitman. Or because that's what the sanctions are, and the Eiger Sanction is a hit that he has to perform on the guy who's trying to climb the Eiger mountain. Yeah, the Eiger Peaks. So he and his buddy and trainer George Kennedy basically have to train to climb a mountain and go after this guy. And the actual sanction part of it is not really the fun part of that movie. The fun part is the guy who sends him on all these hits. He absolutely hates. He's because I think he's quit by this stage. He's out of the game. He's like become a professor at university, and he was only performing hits so he could buy artwork. Yeah, he's like an art history professor or something. But the guy who does it is like he's a albino who can't handle any kind of direct sunlight, so he lives in this kind of dark cave, and Clint Eastwood hates his guts, hates him with a passion.
Did you hit that on VHS or DVD?
I actually hit believe it or not, I hit the novel adaptation.
Oh right, excellent.
Because I funnily enough, I've got it on DVD. I don't think I have it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, cool. Well, had a recent release, like a re-release anyway. But
right.
I reckon that does it for this for this video, mate. Interesting one.
Yeah, I loved pretending that I was on radio, talking to myself as if like holding a conversation with myself, which is incredibly weird.
Well, as it turns out, my camera never stuffed up, and I just threw you under the bus. No. Not true. And that will be quite evident when people watch this.
Excellent.
All right. Well, until Monday for the next show. Have a good one, dude.
You too, mate.
All right.